Up high in the Rainforest caldera, there is this place where the mist dances and curls through the valley. There are secret tracks through the orchards and banana plantations. The long grass and golden sun are my compass. At the top, there is a spot where you can watch the sunrise, and from here you can see the whole volcano crater. Time stands still as the sun rises. The swirling mist brings this sort of clarity, even for a second. I remember once climbing this hill as a kid with my dad, wading through the long grass, snakes slithering past at our feet. And my dad mumbled to me, "This is a beautiful life." At the time, mud to my knees, I didn't understand. But since that moment, I think of these words often, at the most ordinary times. I think that this is one of the most important overlooked things, this appreciation for every moment, no matter how ordinary. As I stand on this hill, a new day, a new year, I look down to the same valley, the same mist swirling through the same mountains, and I think of these words. Each moment, each rising sun, new bloom, a duckling learning to swim, or a bee pollinating a flower. The beauty, the hurt, the lightness, and the dark. It is all this human experience. I think that if you live your life looking forward to peak moments, you can forget to appreciate the beauty of everything, the ordinary, messy realness of what it is to be human. Our brother and his partner's duck hatched tiny babies. It is so amazing to watch a duckling learn to swim. So fragile and innocent, unaware of the world. They will learn to understand the earth, to hide from goannas, to forage for food, to survive in the rainforest. But for now, they will swim and play, enjoying the beauty of the moment. More and more, I'm trying to learn from the animals, from this unconditional joy, from the way that a goat bounces for no reason but the fun, the way that a dragonfly dances to the beauty of a lily, from the reflecting waters or the whispering winds. I'm making a dress patchworked from old pieces of embroideries and tablecloths. I'm inspired by the idea of our lives as a patchwork of many moments, a messy combination of everything. This dress will celebrate the beautiful hand embroidery as well as the stains and tears, crafting them together to make something beautiful, which I guess is just like life.
Waking up before the sun always feels so amazing. It feels like you've just got a head start to the day, and I always feel like creating after. All of these embroideries hold so many stories. They're so beautiful. I've collected them from everywhere. I've collected them from op shops, or some of them are my grandma's or Omar's, or friends have gifted them to me. Women that have lived in these hills their whole lives have collected them, and they often just sit in the bottom of someone's drawer and don't really get used. And then sometimes as well they have stains and holes all over them, so it's kind of sad to see them like that. So I love to appreciate the beauty that's left in them and just sort of avoid those holes and stains so I can create something new from them. So I think I'm going to use this piece because I love it so much. I love this like grid, it's so beautiful, but it's got this big hole in the middle, so it's not really useful as a tablecloth anymore. So I think it's going to make a beautiful dress. To make a dress, there's so many different ways to start. Sometimes it's overwhelming, sometimes you want to start on paper and make a pattern first, but I am always inspired by the fabrics first because the way that they fall or the stories that they already hold I think are so important. And I always just like to just sort of drape it on my body and experiment with different things, and I think this is going to make a beautiful halter-neck dress. And that way I can use most of the fabric, which is always my main goal, so that I don't waste anything. Only the bits that have holes in them, I will avoid them, but everything else I want to use. I always find this stage of designing so funny because I look like a child that has tied a tablecloth around my body and then pinned some ribbons to it, because that is exactly what I have done, and it looks terrible, but I have the vision. This is just experimentation. It'll be great, surely. This machine is from the early 1900s or the late 1800s, and it's so beautiful. It does this, it's called a hem stitcher, and it does this where it makes this beautiful indent on the side of the fabric, or it also does this where you sew lace on the side using it, and it kind of makes it look like the lace just blends in. And I bought it off this sweet old man who told me that it was originally in a shop, in like a sewing shop, and women would take their embroideries in that they made by hand, and then they would put the lace on in the shop. I just think it's amazing. I wonder how many people have been on this machine, like how many stories have been made with this, how many embroideries have been sewn. It's amazing to think of all of the people before me using this machine, using their hands in the same way as I am. But the thing is that because it's so old, and it has been modernized a bit, but it's really hard to use, and if you get a little thing wrong, or your fabric's a bit too thick, all of the stitches, all of the threads come out, like they break, and then you have to rethread it, and it's so hard to thread, and it's impossible. But I love it, so I'm going to try to use it today and hope that everything is in my favor. I did it, and it looks so beautiful. This is the original one, which would have done way back when this was made, and this is the one that I just made. I'm so proud. This machine is so hard to use. I feel like I've been working for hours and I only have this tiny little half of a top done. But I think that's the beauty of working with old machines and old materials. You've got to take your time. You have to really look at things and make sure you get it perfect. I'm making vice binding straps. So like spaghetti straps, so they're really thin. I always start with a clean desk in the morning and then by midday it gets to this. Oops.
Flower! Look at this flower! Do you see how pretty that is?
So my next step is, I'm really scared, but I want to put this lace in between each of the patchworks. I just think it's so beautiful. And I think that I'm going to use the hem stitcher to do it, which is terrifying because every stitch on that hem stitcher is terrifying and that's gonna be a lot to make a whole skirt. But I'm going to at least try it. I'm going to try it out with these two pieces because they're just out of a recycled cotton sheet that I can cut more of. They're not precious like all of these embroideries. As I sort of expected, the fabric was way too thick for the machine. It's easy if you're just going through like one layer of really thin fabric, but this is 3 layers of lace and cotton, so it broke, and I think I'm not going to bother doing more because I think it'll just be a nightmare. So I'm going to try to think of a different solution. So I didn't know what to do because the lace wasn't working, but then I decided I will use the beautiful old machine to just kind of trim each edge of each patchwork. And I think that'll be beautiful, but then the machine stopped working and I had to rethread the bottom, which is always terrifying because there's no instructions for old machines like this, so you just have to kind of guess as you go and you turn into a bit of a mechanic by the end of it, I swear. And I fixed it, so I'm feeling very proud, very confident, and I'm going to try to do it. now I get to sew it all together. I'm so excited. Oh no! Woo! Getting dark, and I think the storm is subsiding now, but I only have, I think, 3 scenes to go. I'm so excited. But I've got one more stitch left on this beautiful machine, so hopefully it all goes well. This is a really important one.
Crafting this dress, it feels like I've given a new life to these tablecloths. I wonder who was the original person who spent hours hand embroidering this design. I wonder whether they were inspired by the wild orchids on the rainforest floor, whether they wandered these rainforests as I do. What were their stories and experiences? What did they think of as they crafted? After crafting a project like this, it really gives me perspective. This simple life in the rainforest always reminds us to see the beauty in the ordinary. I remind myself to realize the extraordinary thing that it is to make something with your hands. The beauty of this waterfall that only appears after a storm. The incredible way that a leaf catches the light or the water falls down from the cliffs. It makes me remember to appreciate every moment, to realize how extraordinary it is to be human. The music in this video is by Rosemary and Garlic, and she has just released her latest song, Midlands, a song about the river of life that keeps moving forward. You can find her links in our description. Thank you for watching, and we are always so grateful for the support from our patrons.